I'm very excited about that. I'm super excited about that. And I'm really excited about that. Welcome to CC Writes. My name is CC Lepke, and today I am so tired. But it's NaNoWriMo day 5, and I still need to get some writing in, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it the same way I've been doing it up to now, which is through 4 writing sprints, 25 minutes each, with a small break in between for chatting and hanging out with anybody who happens to want to talk with me. And if not, then I will just talk to myself. I am good at it. So the 25 minutes starts now. Things are finally starting to pick up in my book, and I'm really excited about that. I've spent a lot of time in the story so far just sort of setting everything up and making it feel like a real place, and a place that could have magic in it and has its own set of rules, and trying to make those rules clear without having to state them too directly. As things go along, I'm kind of just writing whatever happens to come into my mind with a loose idea of where the characters need to eventually go in the story, which is very uncharacteristic for my writing style. It's also giving me a chance to explore all of these different things within the story and make it feel a little bit more natural than I usually am able to get right off the bat. I don't know, I like the differences there. It may be something that I keep doing in the future, or depending on whether or not this writing actually turns out well, it may be something I avoid. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get started on my second writing sprint. All right, so here we go. So I've got the idea of contracts in my story a lot, and a lot of it is contracts between willing parties, where you have the Fae, who everything that they do is like a bargain between each other. Like, you can't thank the Fae, because if you thank them, it means that you owe them something, and so you have to use particular terminology to avoid forming a contract with them. We've got, you know, people trading favors even when it comes to offering something that could be beneficial to the group as a whole. And I think that's an interesting part of the fairy culture in this story. I do kind of want to get into a little bit more of what the human culture is like, but I think that's not really going to happen until we get to the next point. Which is the crossing of the threshold, where the main character is sort of pursuing her dream by going forth into the human world to try and become a magic engineer like she wants to do. I still feel kind of weird about how little has actually happened in the story so far. This may end up being a really long book, which I hadn't planned on. I was hoping at most it would be, 60, 70,000 words. That's also a really good place to edit from, though, because when I'm editing, I do cut out a lot of stuff. I'm also not terribly fond of some of the punctuation that I've used. I've just had to deal with it and move on. So that was my break. I'm gonna do another 25 minutes of writing now. didn't turn the alarm on properly that time, so I went a little over 25 minutes. But I got in about 745 words for that go, so that's pretty cool. I really don't have much left in me at this point, so it's a good thing we're almost up to the last So it's a good thing we're up to the last writing sprint, because I would not be able to hang on much longer. So yeah, I think because I'm tired and because I want to get this all taken care of, I'm just going to go ahead and jump straight into the last 25-minute sprint, and I turned the clock on this time. That's the end of the last writing sprint for today. Oh, I want to see how much work I got done this time. It was a very good amount, especially since I accidentally didn't turn the alarm on during one of the sprints. All right, it looks like all told, I ended up writing 2,539 words today. Wow. So, in NaNoWriMo so far, my total is 12,642 words. I hope everyone else is doing as well as I am this year. I know getting through NaNoWriMo is really hard. So that's my stream for today. I got a lot of work done. I'm not sure that I like what I just did with my story. Theoretically, it looks cool. I have my character going through this like huge power transformation where you're actually kind of seeing a glimpse of how strong she really is when she is using her abilities. But I also feel like it makes it look a little OP, so I might end up having to redo the whole section that I just wrote, but you know, sometimes it happens and we move on. But thank you very much for joining me today on CC Writes. I am glad to have you here, and I will see you later. Welcome to CC Writes. My name is CC Lepke, and today I am reaping the consequences of my actions. Yesterday I had no business writing. I was way too tired, but it was NaNoWriMo, so I decided to do it anyway. And what ended up happening was a whole lot of really bad writing. So today I'm having to fix those mistakes that I made yesterday, which mostly means I can't count like most of what I did yesterday. However, because it's NaNoWriMo and because I did actually get words in yesterday, even if those words were really, really, really bad, I don't want to take them away from my total. So what I end up doing in these circumstances is I will go through and highlight all of the really bad writing that I did that I just want to pretend never happened. And that way I can still count the words that represent the work that I put in writing during that time. But I know that later on, if I'm going through and editing, this is something that I can just get rid of completely. So I already went through and highlighted all the stuff that I want to get rid of. I also went through a couple of other parts and highlighted those in a different color, because those are the sections that I would very much like to add more detail into. And since it's still adding to the work and not taking it away, I'm going to go ahead and let myself do that today as part of my writing sprints, just so I can feel a little bit better about my story and where it is. Yeah, so that's my game plan for today. I'll be doing the regular writing sprints like I'm doing, but I'm also going to be making a few corrections to some of the previous parts of my story by adding in some detail. And then I'm going to go back to before the part that I want to get rid of completely and just start the story from there instead. All right, so I managed to go through and add a little bit more detail into some of the areas that I wanted to. Basically, what I had intended was to show more of the discrimination that happens, especially the way that people of the main character's kind are treated in my world. So I was able to do that nicely, and then just add a little bit more detail into what the main character actually is and how she looks and all of that kind of stuff, because I realized I hadn't done any of that up to this point. And then after that, I even got a little bit of a start on rewriting a section. And in this go through, I actually want to spend a little more time going into the process of the main character when she's working on magical equipment, and show that she's not very skilled at it, but she does the best she can with what she learns from taking apart all of these other machines. I don't feel like I got very much written this time, but maybe I did. Okay, I got about 656. That means I'm right back on track with where I was before. And that's a good place to be as well. Right now, my main character in the story is acting a little bit childish, but that's kind of the way that I want her to feel. A very clinical way of thinking about things, where even if she's thinking the exact same thing that everybody else is, she does it in such a precise, mathematical way that other people probably wouldn't see it as being very caring, even though for her it very much is. It's just she thinks about it and with logic first before she puts her heart into it. And I think that makes her kind of an interesting character for a fairy, because fairies are usually very passionate. At least that's the way that I'm portraying them in this, and that's the way that I've read in other stories, people showing them to be. I like fairy tales a lot. I'm reading a book right now by Holly Black, The Darkest Part of the Forest, and it's a really good one. I've read it before, but I thought it would give me a nice feeling for how to write fairies into this world. And that was actually a huge reason why I decided to make some of the changes that I decided to do this go round. And previously I went through and changed some of the wording of the story because I like the way that that Holly Black does it in hers. And so part of it is just, you know, kind of trying to mimic something that I like in somebody else's story. That is 3 rounds done. This time I did not get hardly any writing done. Well, I mean, I got some writing done, but I ended up going back over it. Yeah, I only got about 196. Oh, that's terrible. I mean, it's not terrible, it's just a lot less than what I typically would have wanted it to be. So far, though, I've got about 1,321 words done for today. So I'm almost up to the typical amount that I'll need for a day of NaNoWriMo. I just need about 346 more words, and I can easily get that done during the next part. And that puts me well over what I needed to end the day on. So I've done about 2,000 words today, which is awesome. I'm very excited about that. I'm very close to 15,000 words total, and man, today was a really good writing day for me. I'm so glad I went over and redid some of the stuff that I did. So at this point in the story, the main character, she went down to the docks, which is where the slave traders work in the kingdom, to try and find her sister who's disappeared, and she ends up finding her puka friend there instead, the one that she met the previous day. And she ends up helping him escape from the slave traders by using his name, which was a gift that he gave her for helping him previously. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you for joining me today on CC Writes. I will be back tomorrow doing more of my writing sprints for National Novel Writing Month, and feel free to join me and to do sprints of your own and share your progress with me, or just hang out if you want to, because I am more than happy to talk with anybody about writing or your progress or anything. So thank you for showing up, and I will see you later. Welcome to CC Writes. My name is CC Lepke, and today I am forging ahead in my NaNoWriMo writing adventure. It is day 7 of NaNoWriMo. I am at 14,697 words total in my story. And today I decided to set myself a goal. I want to see if I can get 17,000 words by the end of this stream. It's a lofty goal. It's a little over 2,000 words, but I have been doing really well with my word count over the last few streams. So I just want to push myself a little bit further and try to get ahead as much as possible. So far, my story has been getting away from me really, really bad. And in the last couple of tries, I had to just completely get rid of large sections that I had written because it just wasn't feeling natural, and it wasn't going in the right direction for the story. And I really want that to not be the case today. And yet again, the story has gotten away from me. I have the characters, after they get away from the humans, they're facing the first death that has occurred because of the plague. And it's a dryad character, one that I actually really liked from earlier on in the story. I think what this means for the story is that the plague is going to start progressing a lot more quickly, and it's going to provide a hindrance for the main character for getting into the university as the people around her start falling ill, and the area is going to get sectioned off. And that'll add quite a bit of drama as she's trying to do what she can to rescue her sister in the story. I don't like so far that the main character's sister, I feel like I have fridged her. And I don't like doing that to characters. Her entire point is actually not to be a damsel in distress to be rescued, and so far it feels like that's what is happening with her. So I could rewrite the whole thing, but I'm not going to right now because I'm still in the middle of my whole story and everything. I could try and find a way to have her affect things more directly in the plot through her captivity. And then I also don't plan on having her be captured for long, just long enough to be afraid and get sick and start leaning on the side effects of the illness, which would cause some hallucinations, feelings of euphoria, things like that. Yeah, so I've got a lot to think about when it comes to this character, but for now I'm just going to keep going and hope that I can get somewhere a little bit more pleasant with that particular character. I might be running myself into another corner here. So they've returned from the burial of the dryad. What I want to show is that in just the span of a day, multiple people have gotten sick in Garbage Town. So I want to show that there's more sickness going on in the area, and then I also want to reveal what the Puka has learned in the short time that he was captured by the humans. But my energy is lagging quite a bit right now. I'm still really excited about the story. I still have a lot of great ideas for it, and I want there to be a lot more to it. Sometimes that's all it takes, though. Like, you get one day where you're feeling tired, and it doesn't matter what you do. It's just hard to write anything down when you feel like that. Part of being a professional writer, though, is pushing through that feeling and writing anyway, even if what you write is absolutely terrible, which, I've already had one day of that and managed to come out the other side okay. So I think I'll be fine, but I'm just getting a little sleepy. I'm getting a lot in, and it's starting to feel a little bit more exciting as the main character is racing through Garbage Town and discovering all of these people who are sick. And it kind of has a desperate feel to it, which I like quite a lot. My word count is doing really good so far. I've got 16,435 words total. I really feel like I will be able to get in at least about 570 words that I need for this. So at this point in the month, normally the amount that I would need is about 11,000. So yeah, 11,669 words is how much I would need at this point in the month. So I'm still doing really good. I've exceeded expectations so far, and that's a nice feeling to have. It looks like I've ended up with just under 17,000 words for today. I'm super excited about that. Always good at comedy, even when you start off serious. See, I have the opposite problem with my stories. Like, I'll try to write a comedy, I will try so hard, but it always ends up being such a sad story afterwards. Sad like me. Well, I mean, it's so I really like comedy a lot, but when I was growing up, what I would most often read would be, you know, a lot of tragic stories, and especially tragic comedies. Like dark comedy is my bread and butter. I love it so much. And so for some reason, I can't get away from it when I'm writing. I go straight for the sad. Do you usually win Nano? I have won probably about a quarter of the NaNoWriMos that I've taken part in. It's definitely a tough challenge to do, and it always feels really good when you manage to get to the end of it and cross the finish line. Yeah, I think I've probably only successfully completed maybe 3 or 4 of them total, and one of the times that I did it, it was entirely random writing. It wasn't a coherent story at all, but I was so proud of myself because it was the first time I had ever finished NaNoWriMo. But it was like 6 different stories, and whenever I got bored with one, I would just start another one. I've written 2 books that were published, and both of those were actually NaNoWriMo stories that I won those years, and so then I put the effort into actually making it something worthwhile to read. Never managed it, and not looking good this time. You know, it's a really tough one. It definitely is. My best friend, she's a writer too, and she has never managed to complete a NaNoWriMo story ever. So it's not something that, honestly, I don't even think that all writers should try to do the 50,000 words in 30 days, because it is a tall order and it takes a very specialized set of skills to do it, and they're not always the set of skills that you want for professional writing. I'm fortunate in the fact that in my day job I actually worked as a grant writer, and so I have a lot of experience writing things really quickly and, you know, coming up with content as fast as I possibly can so that, you know, I can submit grant proposals and stuff like that. So I have a lot of practice writing really quickly and writing a lot of stuff very quickly. But for some people, that is how you, like, that's a recipe for disaster. That's how you end up hating writing for some people. I would definitely say that even if you never win NaNoWriMo, it's not really anything to be down on yourself about, just as long as you keep writing, because writing is the important thing. And it doesn't really matter how long it takes you to finish a story, just as long as you do. And actually, it's about dinner time for me, so I need to get going too. So thank you all very much for joining me on CC Writes, and I will see you later.